God will take over the sovereign governments around in the world, because the sovereign governments have failed in their fiduciary duty to be an extended arm of the Lord in establishing His will and making sure that God's will and plan is executed in the earth. And over the period of the time in the past years, you have seen a change of government from one nation to another. And recently, at least more than 100 or up to 100, not sure the total number, but a lot of governments around the world have changed hands. And then even in those that did not change hands, you see some things going on, from France to Germany to Great Britain, to Nigeria, to South Africa, to Equatorial Guinea, to Mali, to Niger, you just name it. Around the globe, a change of government has taken place. What does that show? That those that felt that they are in charge of government is actually not in charge of government, for the Lord Himself had taken over by replacing and removing and creating a situation that makes things not the way that some people wanted it, the same old way, in the way they challenge God, whether God does exist or not. And He continues to play and played out, even in the recent election that took place in the United States, as I had also mentioned that He will. In my previous message recently, I reminded Pope Francis to your hearing to look at the things and the prophecies that the Lord had given to him in 2012 or 2013, contained in more than 20 to 30 pages, not sure the exact number of pages, to see if everything that the Lord have said in that message that he received, that President Obama also received, and among the other 10, to see if the Lord have kept His promise and His warning, if not heeded, whether what the Lord said took place. Again, I had also mentioned to you recently, because I want to go back a little bit to memory lane to understand whether the pain and the suffering that many people are going through today was also not prophesied before Biden got into government. When the Lord warned about things that have been happening that must cease and must desist. Thank God to President Trump that handed over the government to him, that he lost for the same reason the Lord warned then. If you remember, in the plan that the Lord had given to Trump and the Republican Party in 2018, the message that I gave then, that if they intend to have the kind of majority that they had coming in 2016, that they must mobilize in the grassroots level, a grand game that mobilizes people to go to knock at door and every door, and not only knock at the door of the Republicans, but also the door of every American. Every American. Reach out to Democrats and the independents and everybody to let them know. And that plan was rejected by them, and we saw the result of 2018. Remember that I'm going my memory lane as we are moving forward into the future, because we got to move forward. We're not going to dwell in the past. If you remember then in 2020, also the plan that when I received, I went to vote very early, in the early voting time, and then I say, here is I have voted. Everybody to go early, and then President Trump then decided that, no, wait, on the D-Day, everybody should go and vote, and we saw how it went out. But even before then, you will also remember that the Lord Himself have spoken about the outcome of that particular 2020 election and how it will turn out. Today in 2024, we have seen that the Republican Party went out to execute that plan that was given to them in 2018. and the one that was given in 2020 together. The early voting, and then going out to turn out people, including people that were not usually voting for them. It did not make me happy then, but I stayed there and watched to see things as they unfold. Do you remember in the past, before this particular election, what happened when I was crying in the wilderness, shouting, "Stop the lies"? This was to President Trump and his son and the Republican Party in their divided nature, saying, "Stop all these lies," trying to compete with the Republican Democratic Party. Because if you don't stop all these lies, even though the Lord had given you 8 years, then you will lose the election. It did not make God happy that he continued in the lies, and we saw how it ended. In a sober reflection for the party is the reason why we are going to memory lane for both parties. And also you remember me crying and shouting at the top of my voice in the wilderness, "Biden, stop these lies, stop the lies that you are telling the American people, or you will be removed from the office." They did not listen. The Democrats and the media, in agreement, did not listen either, and they continued to project and promote the lies. The question you will ask yourself, was Biden not removed from the office? It doesn't matter. The amount of puppet masters that they had to continue to deceive the American people, to psychologically manipulate them because they thought that the lie can win. When you remember in the past prophecies, I've said that the lie has a circle. It has a full circle. And people told you that if you tell lies 1,000 times, people will start to believe it is the truth. So that has fallen. And I told you it's a lie. That lie has a circle. And only until it reaches to the beginning of the lie, then lie will fall apart and the truth will emerge. So it was so, and it is so,